For the past decade, like many people, I've been paying monthly for storage, music, movies, and backups without really questioning it. I knew that if I ever added everything up, it would probably make me choke a little, but I never seriously considered doing anything about it until last December. The reality is that almost everything important in my digital life lives on someone else's servers, and that makes me a permanent tenant. And I'm not alone in this.
There's such a big choice of different streaming services, all requiring subscriptions, where people saying, I've had enough of that.
This is one of these things where the community just screamed, we want this thing and we need this thing.
A West Monroe survey found that 9 out of 10 people underestimate their actual subscription spending. Most of us guess somewhere around $60 a month, but the real number for the average American household is $273. You see, I thought I was being careful, but turns out I was just distracted, the way most of us are. So I decided to stop renting my digital life and instead try to replace most of my subscription-based services with something I actually own. And in this episode, I'll walk you through the process, what it costs, how hard it really is to set up, and whether this makes sense for someone who isn't particularly tech-savvy. Now, before going any further, this is a process. Depending on how deep your dependency goes, moving away from subscriptions can take time, especially if you decide to build your own library of, let's say, music, movies, and TV shows, which is actually the fun part, which I'll get to in a bit. Before that, let me show you what I'm currently paying. Looking at this chart, prices will obviously vary depending on region, but the ballpark here is that I'm paying at least $90 per month in digital services. And I'm saying at least because the only real way to catch all the microtransactions would be to replace my debit cards and watch the red flags as charges start reappearing, which I'm honestly considering. Here's what surprised me. According to a global review last year, it looked at 642 subscription websites. 3 out of 4 used what regulators actually call dark patterns, designs meant to make canceling harder than signing up. Last September, the FTC hit Amazon with a $2.5 billion settlement over exactly that with Prime. $1 billion in penalties and another $1.5 billion going back to customers who couldn't get out. And I'll be honest, I've had services I forgot about for months. I'm sure you can relate, one of those I couldn't cancel without calling a phone number. In 2026. So when it takes you 15 minutes to cancel something that took 30 seconds to sign up for, that's not your fault. That's the product working as intended. And there is another layer to this. Even when you think you're buying something on these platforms, you might actually not. In December 2023, Sony announced it was going to wipe over 1,300 seasons of Discovery shows out of PlayStation libraries. Not the store, the libraries of people who had already paid for them. They only backed off because the public, understandably lost it. But the fact that they could announce it at all, that's what your digital purchases actually means. Imagine buying a book and Amazon walking into your house to take it off your shelf. That's the game right now. The math is on your side though. $90 a month for 10 years is $10,800. The setup I'm about to walk you through cost $1,200 one time. And it could have been a lot cheaper if I hadn't splurged on these massive drives. By the way, if you end up enjoying this video, subscribe, because why not? So with at least $1,000 per year in subscriptions, the goal is much clearer. I'm not trying to cancel the internet or pretend that, cloud services don't have their place, but I do want to bring the essentials back under my control. That means replacing the things that matter most: my file storages, my phone backups and family phone backups potentially, my photo library, and ideally my movies and music as well. Not because the current services are bad, because they're not, but I just want to have one place that sits in my home that I own and that doesn't renew itself every month. Some things might stay in the cloud, and that's fine, but the core of my digital life shouldn't feel like a rental agreement anymore. So toward the end of last year, we did a desk setup overhaul for a friend of mine, where we installed a UGREEN DH2300 NAS. And that's when the whole idea started forming in my head. NAS stands for Network Attached Storage, which you can basically think of as a personal cloud that lives in your home. It's a box that holds multiple hard drives and runs a simple browser-based operating system you can have access from anywhere. There are plenty of NAS solutions out there, but after seeing how easy this one is to use in real life, it just made sense. This used to be nerd territory, by the way. 10 years ago, setting one of those meant, an entire weekend, proper knowledge, and probably a few rounds with the router. Not anymore. The consumer NAS market is somewhere around $6 billion now and growing fast. Synology has been running the show for over 25 years, but newer names like UGREEN, who are not sponsoring this video by the way, are what actually made those boxes approachable. If you can set up a smart TV, you can most likely set up a NAS like this one. That shift is the reason this video even exists. Now inside the NAS, this box, you can use two types of storage. Traditional moving hard drives, which are cheaper and great for storing large amounts of movies, backups and files, or solid-state drives, which are faster, silent and more modern, but significantly more expensive per terabyte. If I want around 20 terabytes of usable storage, I actually need to double that because I'm running the drives in RAID, which means half of the capacity mirrors the other half in case one fails. With SSDs, that would cost north of I think $4,000, while with dedicated NAS drives I can achieve the same usable capacity for a fraction of that price. And that's exactly what I did. The DH2300 has two bays, so I installed two 24TB Iron Wolf drives, giving me 24 terabytes of usable storage I can access from anywhere. It's a little louder, sure, but for media libraries and photo backup, speed isn't the bottleneck. Capacity and reliability are. Setting the UGREEN NAS up was super straightforward. I screwed the Iron Wolf drives into their trays, slid them into the enclosure, powered it on, and followed the setup wizard through the app or the browser, which asks just the right questions without needing a special degree. The only thing to remember was to choose the RAID configuration, where the two drives act as a mirrored pair, so everything written to one is instantly copied to the other, meaning if one fails, the system keeps running and the data stays intact. One caveat though, RAID protects against a drive failing, it isn't a backup. If the whole box dies or the house floods, mirroring doesn't help. So for anything truly irreplaceable, I'm considering UGREEN's native rsync option, which lets the NAS push scheduled backups to a second location. That being said, once the initial configuration is chosen, the NAS needs a few hours, depending on the drives, to build its structure, so it's best to let it do its thing overnight before moving on. After that, the first thing I wanted to confirm was simple: can I access this easily from everywhere? Locally, it's as easy as typing the IP address into Safari, which can be quickly found through find.ugnas.com, and save it as a web app in the dock for quick access to the OS. For moving files, I just open the Files app, go to Network, login, and everything is there. That alone covers most of my use cases, since I'm in the studio most of the time. But when traveling, UGREEN's remote access lets me sign in through the browser and drag and drop files to download or upload just as easy. For power users, I've also got a Tailscale running, which mounts the NAS as a network drive from anywhere, as if I'm on my home network. I'll link a very useful guide from a fellow creator below.
No backups of your information. You should always have backups, but particularly when getting into unfamiliar stuff.
And before anyone asks about the electric bill, this thing pulls about 20 watts, so it's negligible in the grand scheme of things. So at this point, it was time to start replacing cloud services, and honestly, this is where things felt almost too easy. The setup itself took one afternoon, the actual data moving took weeks, but I didn't need to babysit any of it. You see, the UGREEN NAS operating system resembles macOS very closely, and that's intentional. Just like on a Mac, it has its own App Center, which is like the App Store, where you can install various tools, one of them being Cloud Drives. Cloud Drives connects to various cloud services like Google Drive and OneDrive, and this was the key for me. Instead of trying to figure out how I can offload my OneDrive, for example, I simply connected it and told the NAS to mirror and sync all changes all at once. With over 500 gigabytes of OneDrive data, it needed a few days to sync everything with OneDrive, but without, me lifting a single finger. And just like that, I had all my OneDrive stuff now on my NAS. The next thing to offload was Google Drive, where just like with OneDrive, I logged into the account and told the NAS to use real-time two-way sync and download everything. A couple of weeks later, with the NAS already running as my primary cloud, I was comfortable enough to start shutting those subscriptions down. Next up were my photos, where I relied again on Google. Things here worked a little different, but probably just as simple. You see, Google offers a service called Google Takeout, which allows you to grab anything you have stored with them and sort of take it to go. That includes photos, which I could have synced with OneDrive again and then allow the NAS to grab them from there, but instead I decided to request a link. I wanted to see how this entire process works. I picked up a zip archives in the largest size possible, 50 gigabytes, and at this point it was a matter of waiting. The goal is to download those files, offload them into the NAS, and let the OS do its thing. 6 days later, 14 years of photos back in my house. And then honestly, the fun part started, because once everything was on the NAS, the real project was building the library up, ripping all DVDs and CDs, and finally giving the stack of movies I'd been carrying between apartments for years a place to live. I got so into this project that I started calling friends, including my mom, because I knew she had a stack. Also, the listings online are ridiculous right now. Dirt cheap copies of films I actually love. Holding these formats in my hands again is a weirdly good feeling. The rule I've been following is simple. Whenever a movie comes up in a conversation, I go scout for it, buy it, and rip it. Now it's mine, and yes, I know how the DVD ripping part reads: personal use only, nothing leaves the house. And the best part is, once it's on the NAS, I can stream it from anywhere. It's like Netflix, except I actually own the catalog. You see, it's no wonder vinyl crossed $1 billion in US sales again last year. The 19th straight year of growth. Outsold CDs more than 3-to-1 in revenue. Independent bookstores are on their biggest run in decades too. Over 2,500 locations across the US exist now, up from roughly 1,600 before the pandemic. Film cameras are coming back too, and physical photo printing right now alongside them. A lot of people might call this nostalgia, but I don't think it's only that. I think people want to own what they love again.
Actually, I think it's also a better way to bring a film to life, to bring the work to life itself, to be able to own the object,
instead of paying rent on it forever. And if any of this speaks to you, drop me a note in the comments. The NAS is just my version of the record player. Like and subscribe to the channel as well as my newsletter, and as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is E, over and out.